Welcome back to the New Zealand Property Podcast and Video Series, and we're going back in the ages today, and we're going back how we started, just doing a pure podcast with no video. Not that the guest is a wee bit shy; he just hasn't got a camera in front of him, so I thought I'll hide mine as well. So today we've got a investor from Central Otago, currently living in Queenstown, Sam Stephens. Welcome to the show, Sam.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me.
And I was down there in Queenstown last week, and of course, like many things of COVID, hasn't quite worked out how people and economists were saying it might happen. They're saying the rest of the country will drop down 10% or maybe more, and Queenstown will be hammered at 30 or 40%. Obviously, none of that sort of quite happened. So what we thought, we'll get Sam on, a local investor there, and just sort of see what he's hearing, what he's done himself with his own property, and go from there. So just to set the scene, Sam, tell us a bit about it. You're not just a property investor. What else do you do?
So I am a exploration geologist. So I've been doing that for the last 10 years. Principally, I work in the minerals industry, in the exploration space, where we're looking to prove up resources that will eventually be extracted.
Right. Okay. And whereabouts? What?
Most of my work has been through the South Island. So I travel quite a bit up into the west coast. I work quite a bit in around Hokitika and Reefton. Then I also have a number of clients throughout Otago as well, and also in northern Southland. So yeah, spread right throughout the South Island.
Great. Okay. Well, that'll be an interesting job and a bit different than what everyone's out there's doing. So great stuff. You get outside as well as behind a computer.
Yeah. No, I really enjoy it. It's a really exciting industry to work in. It's a bit like a treasure hunt in a way, and there's always something new, and there's a good mix between desktop work and working outdoors, which I love.
Nice. Okay. And must be some time to do property. So I know you've done a OE overseas, the UK and what have you. Did you have an investment before you went, or where's your sort of first property come from?
Yeah, so my first property was back approximately 2004. I came back from Australia. I think I was 21 and had some cash in my pocket, and purchased a house in Alexandra in a flat market, and did a full renovation of that house with a lot of help from family, and then sold that. I think it took about 12 months. Managed to make a pretty decent profit from it, even though the market was flat. And that sort of exposed me, I guess, to the opportunities in the property market.
You got the bug. That's all good.
Yeah.
If something goes right, to get that bug early on. So just on that one, in a flat, interesting enough, in a flat market, you can still make money, and I've certainly done that myself with renovations in the past. What was a major reason you made money on it? What sort of did you increase rooms, or what did you do to get the most value out of that?
Yeah, no, so we didn't increase rooms, but I just did a full renovation inside and out. And I guess because I was doing all of the work myself in my spare time, so there wasn't a lot of cost really. Obviously, there was low labour cost, just the materials, and then when I sold the house, it sold for approximately 70,000 more than I purchased it for. Yeah, so it was just increasing that market value.
Right. Okay. Great stuff. And so when did you buy your first Queenstown, or when did you get in the Queenstown market? When you got back from overseas, or?
Yeah, so well, I got back from overseas, spent 4 years in Dunedin at university, and then when post-university, when I had a good salary coming in, working for a private exploration company, straight away I knew I wanted to get back into the market. We were based in Queenstown, we had an office here, so I started looking around. So I purchased my first property in Queenstown in 2016, purchased a 2-unit capable section up on the Frankton end of Queenstown Hill. And it took some time to get title for that section. There were a number of delays, but it actually worked in my benefit because the market went through a growth phase from 2016.
Right. So you actually bought this a section that you could put 2 units on, you're saying?
Yeah. So I bought it as a
build yourself?
Yeah, so I built myself. So we constructed 2 units. So we've got one at the back. That's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house on top, double garage underneath, and then also a residential flat underneath that.
Oh,
and then the front unit is a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house, which we initially had on the Airbnb market.
Right. So you've built obviously with by listening to that, the cash flow in mind and multiple incomes. I guess this is a normal rental. You could have what 1, 2, 3 incomes there, the 3-bed and the flat underneath, and then the front house. Was that what you did with the back? Did you rent them out separately?
Yeah. So I actually live with my partner at the top of the back one, and
Okay.
then we rent out the residential flat underneath long term, and then currently we have the front unit also long term. We switched to long term post COVID.
Right. Okay. And have you any other properties around Queenstown at the moment, or?
No. So I'm definitely looking. Particularly after our conversation the other week and talking with agents and some other contacts. Yeah, I'm definitely starting to look again because I'm self-employed. It's the lending is challenging, so looking for JV partners to get back into the market.
Right. So tell us about the property there, and you sent through the photos. The one you said you did rent out to Airbnb, and the pretty amazing photos with great views and a lovely property there. So do you mind sort of sharing with us sort of figures you were getting with Airbnb and why you've changed that now and what you're getting?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so Airbnb was fantastic as far as the returns. So we always, our plan was always to trial Airbnb for approximately 6 months due to our resource consent and also the GST implications.
Yep.
COVID just sped that up basically a month, really. We switched in April. But yeah, I mean, if I look at the yield, so we were getting approximately 15% net yield from Airbnb. We were renting the 4-bed anywhere from sort of 600 to over 1,000 a night. It really depended on the demand at the time, and we watched those rates and how much demand was happening, depending on the period or what was going on in Queenstown, and we would adjust those rates.
Right.
Particularly over Christmas, New Year, and post New Year, Chinese New Year. There's such high demand that the rates are fantastic in Queenstown. Well, were fantastic, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. And because of COVID now and the Airbnb, obviously market's dropped down a little bit. There's no overseas people around here. Only us Aucklanders up here coming down, and the rest of the country, obviously. So what you've given that up, and you've just rented out as a normal house to what sort of are your tenants? What sort of people are they?
So the tenants, we've got 3 couples downstairs, and they're a mix between a couple of Kiwis and then also a couple from the UK and also America. So quite a mix, and they're all long-term residents, hoping to stick around Queenstown. Have been here for a number of years and want to stay for a number of years more.
I thought like a room sort of set up, but just the one main tenant, I guess, is there.
Oh, sorry, what was that? You just cut out there for a minute.
Oh, I was just saying so it's almost like the type of tenants that are there. It's almost like a room by room rental because there's couples all staying together there. But it's just but it is a normal tenancy you've got now.
Yeah, we've just got the tenancy agreement with one couple. I did consider renting room by room, but at the time, that was when COVID was new and there was a lot of uncertainty in the market, and so I was quite keen to get it over the line quickly and have some security. So
Right.
that's why I went that way.
And what sort of rent do you get down there so it's a 5-bedroom or 5-bedroom, is it?
4, yeah, so 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom. That's renting for $950 a week.
Okay, $950 a week is a normal rental, no outgoing, so that's pretty good. Okay. And and I think you said if you sold that property, or would it be worth to buy, I guess, for someone, it's just over that mil mark, wouldn't it, or 1.1 or 1 mil? I think you said the other day when we met up.
Yeah, our latest valuation has been 1.25 million for that front property.
Right. Okay. So it's not bad. It's a sort of a good 4% yield, 4+% yield, and yeah, with beautiful views and stuff in Queenstown. So it's interesting. You can still get that. So some people will be wondering what what you can do. What's the alternative to Airbnb? I guess some people will be doing what you're doing at the moment to try to get what they can out of there. So yeah, sort of moving on from that, I guess, is what we all want to know about what is going down in Queenstown at the moment with the property rentals and the prices of property. I know you're not an agent, but you talk to a few. What are you seeing and hearing down there in Queenstown at the moment? Because everyone was expecting to throw all their money in Queenstown right now and buy things 30-40% undervalued. That's not happening, mate.
No, it's not. And it's interesting you say that, because one of the agents I talked to yesterday he was just overwhelmed with phone calls in the first week of COVID of investors, buyers saying, look, we're ready to buy and we're waiting for a distressed seller, bring them to us. And it just didn't happen. There was initial softening and definitely uncertainty, and there's definitely been a softening in the rental market. But talking with the agents, they've said that the current house and land sales, the market is really buoyant. There's a heap of cashed up buyers, and that prices are back to pre-COVID now, and they're looking to increase probably at the end of this month.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I guess what I would have thought maybe as a minimum would have been some, I guess, inexperienced investors maybe had brought in Queenstown the last 3 or 4 years, who may have done the Airbnb thing or whatever, and then they might have sort of panicked and go, geez, it's a COVID thing and there's no Airbnb people anymore. That might affect it. Those sort of people might have sold. But I guess there's a lot of people, they're astute investors, they don't need to sell, they can ride through it. They know Queenstown's going to come back. It's the holiday capital of New Zealand, that's for sure, and probably around not only New Zealand. So I guess some people are doing well. They're just doing what you're doing. They're just changing the strategy ever so slightly.
Yeah, I guess the drivers for being in Queenstown and owning a house here haven't really changed. And if anything, because of the way that we've handled COVID, they've increased from a global position. So yeah, there's a lot of demand, and even in the papers lately, there's been a lot of sales, really high sales, $5 million up to sort of $20 million properties, and that's only in the last sort of couple of months. So there's definitely people, changing the way they sort of view where they want to be long term and where they want to be based. And Queenstown, definitely seems to be high on that list.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. In fact, right now, if they change the overseas buy rules back to what they were a few years ago, I think Queenstown would go up 20% or 50% pretty quickly, because even we're here at Alexandra Park, for example, we're getting a lot of people inquiring now from overseas, can we buy Alexandra Park? Can we buy? And sort of, short answers, not necessarily. So, so we are sort of become a very desirable place around the world, and Queenstown's the kingpin of that. So, interesting. And what about, have you talked to people down about, as far as the rentals go, whether Airbnb is still popular, or what percentage or rate they're at the moment? I know, as you know, we were down, a group of 4 of us were down there in an Airbnb place in the weekend. The beautiful complex we stayed in, and we were only the only people there one night out of about, I think, 8 rooms, and I think there were 2 others there another night. Where's the Airbnb sort of market at the moment?
Yeah, I think the Airbnb market has definitely taken a hit. I was watching it basically as COVID was happening, and I was changing from Airbnb to long term and getting my listing up onto Trade Me and other avenues, and there were a lot of other Airbnb hosts doing the same thing. So that has, although it's removed some of the supply from the Airbnb market, just because we don't have the tourists here, I think it's definitely soft. Rates are definitely down. I'm not sure of figures, but I would assume they're probably down, 20-25% at least. I know that talking with the agents, they're estimating that the current rental markets are down, probably 20% in Queenstown, and that post COVID there's been a lot of shift of tenants basically moving out of low quality stock and then getting into the high quality stock that came through from the Airbnb market. Talking with an agent in Cromwell, she didn't really see that the rental market there hasn't really changed from pre-COVID.
A couple of points out of that. The Cromwell one, my brother's actually just has had a place there about 10 or 15 years. He's just been trying to sell, and he has had a lot of trouble in Cromwell. I guess Cromwell's not exactly Queenstown, but an important central hub. And I think things have gone a wee bit tougher there than the likes of Queenstown. He had a deal for lower. It's actually under contract again. I'm not sure for how much sort of thing. I don't think it's anything startling, but obviously things still do sell. But interesting you say there, the people who are in the low property stock have moved upgraded, I guess, and that's where I still, if I think there's an opportunity maybe in Queenstown, is the cheaper, and it's only going to be limited time, I guess. Some of the cheaper stock down in Queenstown might become available at an okay price. It might not, as you're saying. It doesn't seem to be happening yet. I guess if we're not getting overseas people coming here for a while, that stuff will put a bit of pressure on those owners, I suspect. But but what I saw down the other day, anything nice is going to be picked up or rented. And I was down there a month ago, and when it was level 2.5 in Auckland, I think it was level 2 in Queenstown then, and there was no one around, or very few. And down there on the weekend, that was packed. It was almost back to the old days, and places were full. Just the only difference was there was a whole lot of Kiwi accents instead of the rest of the world, which is all good.
It's definitely, like, as long as Auckland is out of lockdown, then Queenstown seems to remain busy, particularly in the school holidays. It's been really busy.
And it was last weekend of school holidays, and we were there. So just for people that are listening to us wondering when we're doing it, today's the I think it's the 14th or 15th of October, and we're about a week, the Thursday, the week after Auckland's gone back to level 1. So things have increased, and it was as I said, really nice to see crowds down in Queenstown in places and restaurants and bars. So that was all good. Okay, so what else you want to add? I mean, do a big sell on why you want to live in Queenstown, mate. You won't do that very well, because you don't want to sort of move down there, do you?
I mean, to me, Queenstown is such a fantastic place just because of what's available as far as the outdoor recreation, and also, I mean, I think the airport to a lot of people makes a huge difference. Being able to, like you said, be here from Auckland in an hour and 3/4 or whatever it takes, and then the airport is so central. Everything's here. It's relatively, easy to get to. The views are spectacular. I mean, I think it's a fantastic place to be based.
And obviously, as far as holiday goings and what have you, it's a great place. And I'm a South Island boy, and I just it was great going back there again and up the gondola and doing the luge sort of thing, feeling that beautiful fresh air and clear skies. So there's a lot of other good reasons too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so so I guess just a personal opinion for you, I suppose, is who knows how long COVID's going to go for or happen. If anyone was looking at anyone listening here is thinking they might be looking at buying in Queenstown and what and why, what sort of place would you not necessarily be buying, but what sort of place would you be buying to? What sort of tenants would you be putting in there? As in, would you be looking at probably not holding off an Airbnb for a while? You'd be looking at normal tenancies or multi incomes where you can rent them as normal tenancies. I guess that would be one of the targets for out of Queenstown people.
Yeah, I mean, what I've found, and I was saying, because my places are relatively new, when we've listed them for long term, we've had huge demand. I mean, for our residential flat, we've had to list that twice in the last 12 months, and I think one application, we had nearly 40 different applicants, that were interested in sort of the first couple of days. So yep. I think particularly in that 1 and 2 bedroom space, and then any any stock that's relatively new and warm, there's going to be high demand from the rental market. Yes, rates, rental returns aren't what they were pre-COVID, but I still think that they're great, and that appears to be sustainable for the short term. And then obviously, if we find a vaccine, or if we can open up the borders of Australia, then it's just going to be interesting to see what happens and to those rates and the growth into Queenstown.
That's right. I don't want to abuse my position and go on about new builds again, but it's a sign of the times in New Zealand population and what people want these days. But what I'm finding with tenants, you get a bigger list at a new build than you do with an older stock. Depends on where it is, especially with the younger type people. They want it all nice, they want it all new, they want it all warm and clean and what have you. So I guess when it
Sorry, you there, Mark?
Yep.
Sorry, it just cut out again. But no, I absolutely agree. I mean, that's what we've found, and everyone else that I know in the market. If it's new and it's warm, then it's very easy to find tenants.
Yeah. Just for out of town people that don't know Queenstown very well, and they are looking at going there, I guess things to be aware of when you are buying is, for me, you don't really know when you're not, and you go on summertime. You haven't been down to Queenstown very often. You probably don't realise. I forget the main road there from the airport through to Queenstown itself. You get that very south-facing, beautiful views looking over the lake, but south-facing. And in winter, I guess it stays white and frosty for about 4 months of the year. Those places are a little bit less value than something that's got sun a good part of the day.
Well, that's where I've developed. So yeah, not necessarily. I'm quite lucky. We're situated at the top of the hill, and we have a valley above us, so we actually get good sun even in the winter. And as you know, the last few winters, that it's quite rare to sort of get those sort of hoar frosts and that sort of thing hanging around as it used to back in maybe the 80s or the 90s. And because that face has such fantastic views, and it's also central between what's happening in Frankton now, which is the main area, the Frankton Flats, that's being developed, and then central Queenstown. It's a great location, so it's still definitely in high demand in that area, absolutely. And because of the views, like we're really high, so from the Airbnb potential, a lot of it is that view that the guests just absolutely love. And you get such fantastic views of the Remarkables, and then all of the Wakatipu Basin. We've found it great, and it's been a great for our Airbnb marketing is having those views.
It was a bit one way I said it, I guess, but around there you're right. Some of those places don't get the sun, but other places if they're high up, and depends where they are in the hills, like the place we were that faced south the other day, but we still got sun for a good part of the day because there was no hills right around it, and it was clear, and the views were just absolutely incredible, sort of thing. So that's again comes down to warm houses important, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, because if you're at the bottom of that hill and you're in an old house that's cold and has poor insulation, I think in this market it's going to be hard to find a tenant, and you're definitely going to have to lower your rates if they know how cold it can get in Queenstown in the winter.
Yeah. Okay. Oh no, jolly good. Hey, anything else you want to add, Sam, before we wrap it up?
No, I think I'm happy. Thanks for having me.
No, it's a pleasure having you, and it's good to have some different sort of people and just investors. I know next week also I'm talking to an investor who's had a few troubles with taking a couple of years to try to get resource consent and something in Auckland. So we're going to try to get these things every 2 weeks from now on, and have a real mixture of people. And I thought it was a great way to start with Sam down in Queenstown, and just to get a bit of experience of what it's actually like to be living there and own property there, and seeing how it goes. So, hey, really appreciate your time, Sam, and sorry about the delay before we started this podcast.
Oh, no worries, Mark. No, pleasure. Thank you.
And thanks for listening all, and we'll be back in with 2 weeks with, as I said, another investor here in Auckland. And in the meantime, spread the good word of the property podcast and video series sponsored by Property Ventures Real Estate. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thanks very much.